name's Ria Bagley. I've been working in music retail for 9 years now. I started at Dolphin Music. It's now professional music technology. My current role is compliance manager, and part of that compliancy is looking at things like EDI. You know, obviously, I am a female working in music retail with an interest in music, with a degree in music technology. I've experienced sexism in all industries, actually, in all situations, from a young, as a young woman, sort of getting into music, being told I couldn't join the bands that had guys in because I was a girl. And when you sort of have looked in the charts, I know as I was growing up, I had very few female icons that I looked towards, and that's getting better all the time. So actually, before I hopped on this call, I was looking through my record collection and I was like, oh, okay. Who are my musical inspirations? And the way that I sort my records is sort of 70s disco, music that I can dance to, music that I'm feeling moody. I'm going to listen to this. This is quite thought-provoking and I can dwell on it. Then there's current music, like legendary albums, all that sort of stuff. And I suppose if I just get some of mine out, looking through my old sort of icons, I've got Patti Smith here, I've got Joni Mitchell, I've got The Pretenders, absolute legends, and there's a few more and whatnot. But as I was getting into the current day, before that, I sort of went into my 70s disco as well, which I absolutely love. So I've got Donna Summers, I've got Nana Cherry, I've got the Pointer Sisters, there's some Sister Sledge in here as well, like all very sort of genre, I suppose. But as I've come into the current day, I was like, oh, this is amazing, it's getting better, I'm so optimistic. So I've got St. Vincent. Now St. Vincent is a brilliant guitarist. She's one of my guitar heroes. We stock her signature Music Man guitar. So the fabric of professional music technology is male dominant, as is the music industry in general. So I suppose part of what I've been doing is liaising with our HR manager, involving some of our women in more chats. We're just about to roll out an internal forum whereby all our female staff have this peer-to-peer mentorship. So regardless of what level the staff work, they can join this group, this circle, and receive support from each other, discuss their experiences, and with the involvement of HR, a female department by majority, we can implement some more practices. We can act upon any sort of sexism that arises. At Professional Music Technology, we are 92% male. I am one of a handful of women. We have women in stores, we have women at head office, we have women across all departments. But with the fabric being so much male dominated, there's such a culture of allyship. Ultimately, the men that we work with are allies. Something that we're focusing on moving forward is a journey of education and understanding the bias towards women, and choosing to challenge and fight against it in solidarity with our female employees, but not only our employees, our customers as well, the people that we serve.
My name's Hayley Jordan. I'm the Applicant Experience Manager at BIM Institute, and we're a higher education provider of music courses. So we do lots of different things to encourage more females to make music. It can be anything from creating student societies that might encourage them to try something new. We really like to try and challenge that kind of stigma about what sort of women and maybe non-binary people may want to do in the industry as well. So I think over the last few years, we've really championed getting more women into tech. One way we do that is to engage with the music industry and sort of freelancers and people that are really high in their kind of field of expertise, and actually get them to come in and either do workshops for students, do masterclasses, and just get people that are kind of like really inspirational for sort of young creatives as well, and just inspire them to just go out there and kind of do it and occupy spaces that maybe they don't always see themselves in. I think that is so important. Some of the societies that we kind of have in place is we've had a Women in Tech Society. We've got girls that DJ, which again, like it's such a growing market, and the electronic scene is kind of booming, but you don't always see women kind of getting those headline kind of slots at raves and stuff like that. So yeah, those societies are so important. Other things that we do like little BIM extra courses as well, and that's where people can go and try maybe learning an instrument, which we always encourage singers to, you know, go and learn an instrument as well, you know, learn to songwrite and just don't kind of feel boxed in. Because I think sometimes when you're kind of starting out in your career as a female musician, you can kind of get pushed into just being the singer, or people assume you're a singer. So I think, you know, kind of really challenge that norm and just don't feel, you know, like you can't pick a guitar or you can't pick the drums up, because it is there for you and you're as capable as anybody else. So yeah, that was like, I wish I'd learned the drums. That is the beauty of International Women's Day. It really starts off conversations. And I think as much as it's about empowering women and inspiring women, it also needs to be about educating men on how they work with women in the industry, how they speak to women, also how they actually watch women performing, and the language they use around women as well is so important. It's amazing, like particularly in like a live performance setting, where there's always that assumption again that women maybe can't do certain roles, where they can be backline techs and they can be the sound engineer or the lighting engineer. They could be the artist manager, the venue manager. There's so many roles that women can do, and they deserve to be treated exactly the same as you would with a male colleague. So I think just educating men on also keeping women safe, I think that is so important, especially like with gigging, like you're out late at night, you're packing your equipment down, and quite often like round the back of a venue where you don't always feel particularly safe. But all these things, just making women feel more respected and empowered, can go a long way to keeping them safe as well.
I'm Suzanne Harlow. I'm the Chief Executive at RSL Awards. I've been there for just over 12 months. And prior to that, I had a fairly long career in retail. When I started, we talked about EDI, but we didn't really do anything about it. So we set up a small group of people in the organisation to have a look at it, and said that one of the first things we needed to do is just understand where we were today. And so we looked at graded music and vocational qualifications with a views to, from a gender perspective and also from an ethnicity perspective, where were we today? Now, the things that jump out straight away are that drums, which is our number one instrument, is heavily biased towards males, whereas we find something like vocals is heavily biased towards females, and then other instruments fall sort of somewhere in the middle. And so one of the things that we've set out to do this year is to try and rebalance that. I'm trying to rebalance that by giving female drummers the opportunity to be able to showcase their talents. So the marketing team are working on a plan this year for what that could look like. And I think one of the things we need to be able to do is to be able to visually demonstrate it, and to try and encourage females into that, in the same way that on vocals, we need to ideally encourage a few more men to get involved. So there's lots of things that we can do there. We've also changed or launched a couple of new brands in the last year. So we launched classical piano and classical violin in the last 12 months. And when we did some research, we found that both of those two historically have been very white and very male. In terms of composers. So we set out very deliberately to address that. And so one of the things that we have done is delivered 2 products, so a violin syllabus, a piano syllabus, that have got about 30% female representation, which is a significant move on, I think, where the majority of the market probably sits today.
My name's Grace Colbeck Smith, and I am Head of People, Projects and Office at Spitfire Audio. So I look after the project management department. I look after kind of HR, which we call people. So lots of our equity, diversity and inclusion work is kind of comes under me, and also just our office location. So quite a broad remit, but really exciting areas. So at its core, Spitfire Audio's mission is to inspire a generation of composers. So we commit over 1% of our annual turnover to support organisations that nurture the musical talents of young people and promote greater gender, ethnic and economic diversity in music, so particularly in orchestral music. And we support organisations that do vital work in those areas. And so one of the organisations that we support and collaborate with is Saffron, who are a music tech initiative taking an intersectional approach to readdressing gender imbalance in the industry. And their aim is to advance greater gender equality in the music tech sector by creating safe spaces to learn and build confidence. And so pre-pandemic, we collaborated with Saffron on an event called Tech Dissect, which was an all-day event that we hosted at Spitfire Audio HQ for anybody identifying as a woman with an interest in music tech. And it was an all-day event that comprised of workshops, interactive presentations, practical demonstrations, discussions, networking, and it was great because it catered for both entry-level and professionals in the music tech sector. So really hoping that with the world opening up again post-pandemic, we can host more of these really inspiring events and get lots of talented women in one room inspiring each other. At Spitfire Audio, we're really passionate about equity, diversity and inclusion. And in the last couple of years, we've been really taking a look inwards at some of our processes and policies. And something that we're really proud of is our new child policy, which is really geared towards kind of addressing gender balance and kind of the opportunities available to women in our industry. So our new child policy is kind of, it's an alternative to traditional maternity and paternity policies. So in the UK, those aren't particularly progressive and don't kind of help with the motherhood penalty, for example. So what we have at Spitfire Audio is a new child policy, which is for any parent of a new child, whether that's same-sex couples, adoption, surrogacy. We just want to make sure that employees at Spitfire have access to a really kind of competitive and more progressive policy. So men and women at Spitfire both get the same new child leave allowance. So both get a year off, both get the same amount of pay. And really the idea there is that, that there's kind of less kind of stopping women from progressing in their careers, returning to work. And we're really kind of proud of that. It's really kind of helping to address kind of maybe some more traditional or maybe out of date approaches that things like statutory policies perpetuate. We have a range of products at Spitfire that we make, and they're called labs, and they're free virtual instruments. They're hugely popular, and as I said, they're free. And the idea there is that we're trying to reach as many music makers as possible, and just create as many entry points as we possibly can into making music. And we surpassed 10 million downloads last year. I don't think we're far off 20 million. So we're reaching so many people all over the world. I'm really hoping that it creates kind of more accessibility to making music. And I think that should hopefully mean that we see lots more talented women making music and kind of changing up the landscape a bit.